let me give an overview of what exactly this course is and what you are going to learn in this entire course. And even before that, let me give what exactly is going to happen and what exactly it is meant by full stack development. So first let's understand what is full stack development is. So what exactly a full stack development means. So that is the thing. So first let's understand what is a full stack is. So full stack is nothing but a complete collection. So if you take any kind of things, like let's say if you take manufacturing things, so if you consider a computer, so computer is not a single part, right? It is going to have some chips, nothing but electrical chips, and also some motherboards, and also it is going to have again some hard drives and RAM, and also it is going to contain some wires. So if you consider these parts, by combining all these parts, we are going to call it as a computer, right? Now the thing is, you have to manufacture this each and every part individually. Like if you are considering a chips, you have to manufacture the chips individually, right? Now the thing is, the person who develops or who generally creates these chips will not have a proper idea. Again, he may or he may not have a proper idea of how to build a motherboard. And at the same time, the person who builds this motherboard may not have an idea of how to build a computer. So the thing is, the person who built the chips doesn't have any idea about building a motherboard. But if I am leaving any one of it, like if I am not using chips, then I cannot build a computer. If I'm not using a motherboard, again I cannot build a computer. If I miss any one of the part, it is not possible for me to build a computer, right? At the same time, when we are building an application, right, like any application, if you consider your WhatsApp or Facebook or Instagram or else Netflix or any kind of application, there is going to be a different parts in the application where everything helps it to run normally. For example, if you take a Netflix, so what we are going to see in a Netflix, movies, right? The only thing that we do is watching movies. But the thing is, in order to build a Netflix app, it is not just about uploading and seeing the movies. There is going to be a lot of things. Like what, if you consider a Netflix, here you need to maintain a proper security, right? Why do I need a security? Because the thing is, here Netflix is going to deal with the user's information, which is going to have their username, their password. If you are subscribing to a Netflix, then you have to use your credit card, so it has to secure your entire credit card information, nothing but entire details, right? So now that is one of the issue that we are going to have, because security is one thing, and it is just a part. Only a security is just a part. And also I need to make sure that it can support multi-device login, or else let's say some login stuff, again it comes under security. And also I need to have a proper visualization, right? So when I'm discussing about visualization, I think, but the way it looks, I need to have a proper looks. Like if you open a Netflix, it is going to have a clear instructions, clear sections of what exactly we are going to see. Like if you are watching a movie and you just left it in between, then you are going to get a chance where it is going to say resume where you have paused from. Like you can start the movie watching where you have stopped it. At the same time, based on your watch list, you are going to get the recommendations. So recommended for you, there is going to be a different section. And if you want to watch action movies, then you are going to have a different section called as action movies. So everything was sorted out, right? But how exactly these things get sorted out? So that is an visualization, and here this visualization is actually called as UI, which actually meant as user interface. So you have to build a proper UI. And now the thing is, we are having an UI and we are having security, but the thing is, where do I need to implement this security and where do I need to place all this stuff? So here we are going to have something called as a server, right? So generally we heard this term a lot of times, like server. Netflix server was just crashed. Netflix server was down for some time, or Facebook server was down for 2 hours due to some maintenance issue or something, so and so. So what exactly this server? So you can consider this as, let's say brain to application. Simple. It is an application brain. If it is not working, then your application won't work. So here in this server, we are going to have something called as business logic. What we are going to have? A business logic. So what does this business logic will have? It is going to have a certain logic which helps me to run this application, and they are going to have some certain conditions to it. It has to satisfy those conditions in order to send the data or else to receive the data. So generally they are going to be have these things, and also I need to store the data, right? So where do I need to store it? So here we are having something called as database. So here, which is used to store the database. Now keep the security aside. I mean, for now, just keep it aside, and let's have an overview of what the things that we discussed. Now what happened? In order to get an app, you need to have a proper UI, and also you need to have a business logic, and also you need to have a database. In simple terms, these three things has to be there in an application. If you want to make a simple minimalistic application, you need a proper UI, you need a business logic, and also you need database to store the data. Now what are the exact names for these things? So generally UI is what you see. So generally because of that we got a name to it, calling it as front end. And what about business logic? The thing is, you cannot see the business logic. It is going to handle the things but at the background. So that is the reason people call it as backend. And also you are going to have a database, and it is just having the same name as database. As a full stack developer, you must and should have command on this three technologies, or else let's say on these three departments. So I would like to call it as a department. Why? Because when you are developing in large scale applications, or when you are working in a company does not or does not hire a single person to develop an entire application. They are going to hire hundreds of people to develop a single application, and they are going to you know divide the Android 100 members in form of teams, and each team has to perform the certain task in order to develop an application, right? Let me give a clear understanding of it. For example, I'm having a client. Let's imagine his name is ABC, and he is having an idea of developing an application called as XYZ, and he is having some requirements, and he visited a company. For example, company name is company. Now what happened is, he visited the company. Now what's going to happen is, this company is going to take a note of the ABC requirements. So what ABC has done is, I'm having an idea of building an application of XYZ, and these A1, B1, C1, D1 are my requirements. And immediately this company will note down these requirements, and they will evaluate it, like whether they can fulfill his requirements or not. Because a company cannot provide fake promises to a client, and because it is going to lead to legal troubles for the company. So they are going to be very clear on this. So what company majorly does is, they will negotiate with the customer or with the client with the price and time, and how many requirements they are going to complete within the time period. So generally right now, these evaluation processes and the software development will come under software life cycle. So software engineering, there is going to be such certain or separate subject for these things. There we are going to have a lot of methodologies. So there are different methodologies actually to develop an application, and most companies follows agile and scrum models right now. What is the reason behind it is so simple. So I hope you people all are using mobiles, and that too I hope you people will play some games. So when PUBG, I think it's the most popular game, right? PUBG. When PUBG came into market, it is just having one map and having some features. Not exact features, but it is having some XYZ features. And what happens on every 6 months, or of every 9 or 1 year? So what happened? They started to release some major updates. Not only PUBG, it applies for all the other applications. So first an application will launch into market, and there you are going to register to the application to install it, or else you are going to act as beta tester, and nothing but you are going to use the application and you are going to write some reviews. If you face any kind of lagging issues or any kind of bugs, nothing but any issues with a certain application, what you are going to do is you are going to review them. And this entire department, whoever developed this, they are going to be a separate team who is going to read all these reviews, and they will note down each and every point of it, and they are going to select the major issue first, and they will try to resolve it. And while resolving this, they are also going to add a new feature. So likewise, slowly, after 3 4 updates, you are going to get a final product of what customer is thinking. And again, if customer is having another update or another requirement, the company is going to add it in the next release. So it is going to develop the application in phases. So phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and phase 4. So what happens is they are going to note down the price. A time of phase 1 or requirements will be there, and these information will be provided to the client. And once client is okay with the price, the time that was provided by the company, and also the requirements that company can satisfy. For example, client said 10 requirements, and company said they are going to finish it with 5,000, and the time is going to be around 6 months, sorry, 5 lakhs, and time is 6 months, and they can only satisfy 6 requirements in phase 1, and then 7 requirements in phase 2, and then 9 requirements in phase 3. Just imagine these are the things that they can satisfy in phases. If customer is okay with the phases, like customer if is okay with all these conditions, what customer will do is he and the company is going to sign a bond called as SRS. This is a legal bond. So this is what happens in the requirement for process, and later on they are going to gather a team of 100, so based on the requirement of the project. So if the project is very smaller scale, then they don't need a huge team. But if it requires a huge team, like if you take TCS, Infosys, or any MNC, what they will do is they are going to work on huge scale applications. It is going to have a big applications like banking or something like that. There you need to work with them. So there they are going to take hundreds of people, and again these 100 people will divide it into different teams, like development team, support team, testing, so, and database administrators. So this is what is going to happen. And if you are developing an application, this is what happens, right? Now the thing is, what exactly you people are going to learn, what exactly people are going to develop, that is the major part, right? So you people are going to develop an application, but what type of application you are going to develop? So what happens is once you're done with this course, you people are going to develop the web applications. So applications which run on a browser is called as web applications. So you people are going to develop this web application. And generally, if you consider any company, these teams are individual teams. No one work will work with the other team. For example, if you use front end developer, he cannot develop back end things. He cannot code in back end. Why? Because these front end team will have a different technologies, back end team will have a different technologies, and database will have a different technologies. Because of this technology clashes, no one team can work with another one. Like, by the end of the day they are going to work together, but the thing is they cannot develop the back end code. At the same time, back end developer cannot help with the front end team. So, okay, what is wrong with that? So there is nothing wrong, right? Because they are backend developers, they are front end developers. The thing is, there is no issue with the developers actually. The issue is with the company. Why? Imagine you have joined a company and there you are working on a project, and what happens is you get a better offer and you want to leave the company. So what you will do? You will straight away go to your HR team and you will say, you know what, I'm having a better opportunity. I want to leave the company. So I will serve 2 months notice period from now. So you have to work in the company for 2 months. Or else if you are having money, what you will say, I want to join immediately in the next company. So what I want to do is I just want to buy my notice period. Like I can pay to HR team or to the company in order to complete my notice period. So what happens is, in if you just imagine, you are actually working in front end team of 10 members. Just imagine, only you are working on a small project and you are having a team of 10 members in the front end development side. And what happens is, you and your friend got an offer in a different company, and they are paying thrice your current salary. For example, if you are earning 3 lakhs, they are offering you 9 lakhs. So what happens is, you will straight away go to your HR and you will say, no, you know what, I am resigning in the 2 months. I will leave the company in 2 months. So please look for a new candidate. And you are going to work. And imagine, at the same time, I'm having backend department as 10 people and database developer as 5 people. So what happens here? So I'm having a certain departments here, and every department is working properly so that I can fulfill or I can submit my project on time. That is my major goal. As a company point of view, I need to deliver my project to the client on the time. So because of that, I divided this team. I thought it is the best suitable option, and I have done it. And what happened here? You and your friend are leaving this company so that only 8 developers will work on this project from now on after 2 months. So within these 2 months, the HR team will try to look for a replacement for you. They will not sit idly, they will look for a replacement. Even though they look for a replacement, if you are purchasing the notice period immediately, then if they are not able to find an eligible person, so what happens? No one can actually replace you. So they are going to be two people less or two people short in this department. So they are going to stay beyond their deadline. So they are going to satisfy the deadline. So they have to work hard. Either I will increase the work pressure on the employees, which is not a great thing. As when I'm taking in a company's point of view, and also an employee point of view as well. So what happens is, why not choosing an all-rounder, like nothing but who can code in any three things. Like if he's capable enough, he can work in front-end development. If he is capable enough, he can work in back-end. If he is capable enough, he can work in database. When the certain person knows all these technologies, so there comes this full stack developer. So instead of looking for an individual talent, what I can look for is, I can look for a single person who can work on any other department. So what's going to happen? Like, I don't need to look for a single front-end developer. I don't need to look for a certain back-end developer. Directly, I will look for a full stack developer. I will hire him and I will make him work wherever I want to. Right? If I need more developers in the back-end, I will simply send him to the back-end department. I don't wait for him till he learn these things. Right? So what's going to happen here? As a full stack developer, you are going to learn all these three technologies. What are the technologies? Front end, back end, and database technologies. And what are the technologies that you are going to learn? I will tell you right now. Going to learn in front end part, you are going to learn HTML, CSS, JavaScript as a basic things. So these are the basic requirements that you need to learn in order to call yourself a web developer, at least a front end developer, because these three are the basic or the minimum skills which you needed. And then here comes the frameworks. So generally frameworks are used to make application development faster, or else it may increase the efficiency of an application. So what are the frameworks that you are going to learn? The first thing is you are going to learn Bootstrap, and then you are going to learn React.js. So HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Bootstrap, and React.js are the front-end technologies that you are going to learn. And what about backend? So you are going to learn Java, and in that you are going to learn advanced Java. So core Java and advanced Java will be there. And when it comes to frameworks part, you are going to learn Core Spring, and then you are also going to learn Hibernate, and also you are going to learn Spring Boot. And what about database? So in database you are going to learn SQL, and that too you are going to learn MySQL. These are the technologies which you are going to learn. And what are these technologies and why we are going to use it? Let me give a clear idea of it. So what happens is, generally if you download an application, you are going to provide your internal space to the application, right? For example, if you are downloading a game, so what exactly is happening in a game? So you are going to install the game, and it is going to download some requirements, and it is going to occupy some storage, your permanent storage, right? But what happens in web application is slight different. So it is going to occupy the space in your RAM. Okay, it might be confusing a little bit. I will discuss it in detail in upcoming classes. So yeah. So first and foremost thing, these are the technologies which you are going to learn in this course.